Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Bruce. 2022. Hey, the Oilers made it to the Final Four in 2022. Not bad. They did. They had a hell of a playoff run in 2022. They came together as a team under Jay Woodcroft, and now they're kind of, well, I don't want too much to say they're falling apart under Jay Woodcroft. That's not true, but they are inconsistent and up and down. This was a very frustrating loss tonight, punctuated with a sour as hell ending. The Oilers lose 2-1 to the Winnipeg Jets in a game that I think the Oilers deserved better. It's not how hockey works. The Oilers had 13 grade A shots to 8 grade A shots. For the Jets, the Oilers had five alarm shots, and the Jets had 4. So the Oilers should have had about 3 or 4 goals, and the Jets should have had 2. So the Oilers should have won this game by 1 or 2 goals. But two of their best chances, Bruce, hit the post, McDavid and Yamamoto. Yeah. And the Jets' chances didn't hit the post. They found a way to enter the net.
Holes. Yes, they did. They did.
So this is our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast. Bruce, why don't I start it off with the highlight of the night for the Oilers?
Sure.
This is the Oilers' 1 goal on the night, and although they had, like, as I say, 5 alarm chances, those shots go in a third of the time on average. This was one of them, and it was. How many times have the Oilers been burnt off a face-off in recent weeks? In last month? Well, the Oilers did it this time. They actually lost the face-off, but Matthias Janmark charged in there, pried the puck free in the slot, and put it over to clean Kostin, who absolutely fired it in. Just a beautiful shot off the post into the net. And it was a game that the Oilers, like, honestly, I just felt like they were going to lose sometime in the first period. I just felt like the Oilers are not going to win this game. Just had this sinking feeling. But that gave me some hope in that moment that they were going to be able to get it done. Maybe somehow eke out at least a point, which is what I was really hoping for at that point, but they were not able to do it. But that was a fantastic play from Janmark. Great finish by Kostin. That line has been coming together in the last couple weeks and playing some strong hockey. We're going to get into how that might not be the case going forward, which is a tough break for the Oilers. But they played well tonight, I thought, and highlighted with that really excellent goal.
Yeah, that was a nifty play. And it was such an alert play by Janmark. And I think that's what finally beat Hellebuyck, was he was surprised by the shot, because it looked like the Jets had won the face-off cleanly. And they tried to make that short pass, and Janmark just came right through and chipped it right to Kostin, and he just buried it. And for once, they actually got a clean shot that wasn't tipped, or the pass wasn't tipped, or, like they were going through a thicket of forest of sticks and skates and diving players and ice chips and whatever else was getting there.
Oh, yeah. It's just a game of breaks in so many ways.
Yeah, it's very random. Hockey has become more and more random.
You think so, Bruce?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. That's it. What's random. I mean, you take as many shots as you can, and what's random is that the odd one will find a hole and go into the net. And if there's a lot of games that are just decided by one bounce or play, and
they really are. And we should, we can go over the grade A shots for the last couple of years and see which the team that had the most grade A shots, how often they won the game.
Well, you try and get the most shots, obviously, but there's plenty of games like the Anaheim game where they outshot the team 23-2 in the third period, and hit posts, had goal disallowed, puck pulled off the goal line, and the other team gets basically one shot and it goes in the net. Anyway.
Yeah, and Cody Ceci gets a penalty that may or may not. I think it actually was a penalty. I'm not sure that it hit the Jets' stick. but I'm pretty sure the linesman who called it wasn't in position to see it, but who knows? Anyway.
He certainly was in position to consult the other officials, as is routinely done by officials on plays like that. And yet, for some reason, this guy, he apparently saw it, and it was screened, and I thought it was tipped. But the one angle,
you did, eh?
The low angle, I thought it caught the top of the guy's stick.
It may well have. It's hard to tell.
So,
all right, Bruce.
He said, well, he thought that he fired it off the baseboard, the dasher. Well, if it hit the dasher, he didn't shoot it over the glass. No, did he? I mean, if it's a deflection, that's not a penalty either. So take your pick. It's not a penalty. Anyway, of course, that's the one that they score on.
Yeah, of course it is.
So,
all right, what is your good thing?
Yeah, I'm really struggling with the good thing tonight. This game was so super disappointing, and the Oilers, they fell behind. They finally, 30 minutes of hard work later, they tie it up and they give it back in 2 minutes, and then they're behind, trailing the rest of the way. It's the kind of game you really need to lead, and Winnipeg got it, and they lost it, and they got it again. And that was that. I'm going to give a little shout out to the Oilers' third pairing of Evan Bouchard and Philip Broberry. Broberry played just 10 minutes and 19 seconds with a +1, although really had nothing to do with the goal. Bouchard also +1 in 19 minutes. I got some time on the power play, including one power play that was a very interesting alignment with him and Barry, and 3 forwards. And of course, with Draisaitl out, they were experimenting. Who do they put out in his place? And they tried Yamamoto there. They tried a couple different forwards, and then they tried it with the 2 D-men. But the Bouchard Broberry pairing really dominated possession. Like, they had even better possession than the team as a whole, which was pretty dominant in this game. With in the case of Bouchard, 15-4 in shot attempts and 6-0 in shots on goal. Mind you, none of those shots came off of Evan's own stick. This is 3 games since Christmas, and he hasn't had a single shot on goal, which is supposedly his biggest strength. So there's a little bit of faint praise in this good thing. I mean, the one time he did have a clean shot, he shattered his stick into 13 pieces and had to go off to the bench. So there's that. But I thought they at least had the puck moving in the right direction, and they, this was the first time in a while that we've seen Broberry and not Niemelainen on the third pair. A little surprising, given I thought Niemelainen was pretty good last night, especially. But anyway, they wanted to get Broberry in there, and that was the place to put him. And in retrospect, I wonder if they would have been better off with 7 D-men and 1 less Devon Shore in the lineup. But that's just me. That giveaway. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure, that giveaway. Jeez.
A, what's he doing on the ice with 3 minutes left? And then B, why is he passing the puck to Mark Scheifele when he's got 3 different...
That's exactly the conversation in my house. Like, why is Devon Shore out there? And I know that I'm not on the Devon Shore bandwagon right now, and I haven't been for some time. But, like, why was he on the ice, Bruce? They're down a goal and he hasn't scored. He hasn't created much all year long. Like, he's done nothing all year, and they have him out there. I did not understand that. As for Bouchard, he seems to be, I don't know, like, he's kind of pussyfooting when he's trying to shoot that puck. Instead of just drilling it, he's trying to loft it at the net, or slices it at the net, or wrist it lightly at the net, or do something. Like, instead of like trying to get that puck and just drill it. And he did try to do it on the power play, which was I'm glad it was with Draisaitl out. They need someone who can drill the puck from the half wall. Bouchard's your next best bet. And he should be next up, if you ask me, in terms of being on the power play. Like, keep Barry out there as the quarterback, but have him setting up Bouchard, and have McDavid setting up Bouchard. And Nugent Hopkins setting up Bouchard for the shot. That should be their kind of go-to shot. I mean, they really missed Draisaitl's shot on a couple of occasions. That puck came to Nugent Hopkins with a few seconds left in the second period, and it came to Kostin. There was at least one more play where there was a one-timer in order from that spot, and they didn't cash it in because they didn't have Big Leon there with his executioner shot. Bruce, my good thing, I gave my good thing already. I guess I'll just go right to my bad thing. Brett Kulak is my bad thing tonight. He has been kind of under the radar. He doesn't get a lot of criticism, but I'm not loving his play. I've been giving him quite a bit of criticism actually in recent podcasts, and it's because he loses small battles, and they start adding up into grade A shots against, and that's exactly what happened tonight. The first was on the penalty kill. They come charging down his side of the ice, and they cut back. The Winnipeg Jets player cuts back, cuts back, and passes it back, and then it gets passed over for the goal. Kulak was on the man. He just didn't smother him. He didn't stop the pass. It's not an easy play to make. It's a difficult play to make. But if you're an aggressive defenseman, you're going to make that play now and then. And Kulak doesn't make it enough, if you ask me. He doesn't have a strong stick. He doesn't have a strong stick. That's my fundamental complaint with him in battles. It just goes through him too much. And that's why he's got the highest rate of major mistakes on grade A shots of any Oilers defenseman. And it's not that close. He's quite a bit worse than the other defensemen right now. And again, it doesn't, he hasn't, part of the reason he hasn't had a lot of criticism, they haven't ended up in the back of the Oilers net. There haven't been glaring errors. Sometimes it works out that way. You can make a lot of mistakes and they don't end up as goals against, and that improves in the public imagination. Well, you're doing your job if you're not getting scored on. Well, sometimes you're just lucky for a while and then it catches up to you. So tonight on the winning goal, and again, this was a tough play. Covering the player in front of the net who's trying to tip the puck is a very hard play to make. And he was actually battling pretty hard on it, but he didn't win the battle. Kyle Connor did, and he got his stick on it, and he put it past the goalie. So again, it's just a small battle that he's lost. I think there was, whereas Bouchard and Philip Broberry, they didn't make one mistake major mistake on a grade A shot against at even strength this game. Kulak made two, and he made one shorthanded as well. So I see him as
three wound up in the net.
I see him as a third pairing defenseman, and I've seen enough myself that injury, it's always a factor here. But I really do think the Oilers need to bring in another left shot defenseman to take his spot take his spot in the lineup. But second lefty behind Darnell Nurse. They need someone better. They're missing Duncan Keith in that role, and it's a hole on the team right now. And there's still a chance, of course, Kulak will turn it around and start playing better, but it didn't happen tonight.
Yeah. Well, his whole career he's been a third pairing, and the big gamble this summer when they re-signed him was that he would be able to step up and play second pairing, and he's playing second pairing minutes. But there are times, that play, I thought he had Connor, and I'm still amazed that Connor got a stick on it, and he barely deflected it, but Jack Campbell had not seen the deflection coming at all. He thought Kulak had him, and he was pulling in to receive the shot from the point, and in the process making himself small, like Campbell was. Like his glove was in the right place, and he was pulling it in front of his body to try and catch it. And when Connor made that little tiny tick, it went by the glove, by the knee pad. The leg wasn't stretched out. The leg was behind Campbell. Both goals were grade A shots and arguably 5 alarm shots, and yet I wasn't frankly thrilled with the lack of a save on either one of those. But that's not my bad thing. My bad thing is the play at the very end of the game after Yamamoto hit the crossbar with 4 seconds left. If that's not enough to send you into the new year with a real sour taste in your mouth. Klim Kostin, who's become a major fan favorite in these parts, my son came up during the game, said, Klim Kostin, he said, that's one player where I'd just go out and buy his jersey. He said, I haven't felt this way about an Oilers player in a long time. And he goes to the boards and he gets tied up with the guy, and he goes into the boards heavily, awkwardly, in a big mess of pain. And even the Jet player is calling out the Oilers trainer to come and see him. Well, by then, of course, the damage is done. And Kostin does get up on his own feet, but he's clearly in a lot of trouble, and I fear he's going to be gone for quite a while. I'm talking about adding injury to insult. Literally. This was a case of, a real kick in the junk to lose that game the way they did, especially, with the double power play at the end. They can't get any shots through. They finally do hit the crossbar. But then come on, hockey gourds, give us a damn break. Like, take the L, but don't take out a player at the end of the game. I mean, there was no way the puck was even, one battle wouldn't even have mattered at that point. The clock was done.
Yeah,
so,
really, we don't know the extent of the injury. We don't know the extent of the injury. And fingers crossed, sometimes things can look really bad and they're not. Sometimes they can really hurt. And like, people attack the soccer players who go down after they're kicked in the shins. Well, it hurts like hell, like unbelievably hell, like for 30 seconds after you've been kicked in the shins, and then you're okay. We will see, fingers crossed. Maybe there's news already about the extent of probably there's not, but some kind of sprained knee, looks like maybe would be the best case scenario at this point. Like that would be like a month. That like 2 or 3 weeks that he would be out. But yeah, geez, they will miss this player, Bruce. He has added a lot to the team in a short amount of time. Brings me to my number. Kostin, my number is he's tied for 6th overall in goal scoring on the Oilers, even though he hasn't played a lot with the team. He's just played 22 games, and in a lot of the games didn't get a ton of ice time, but he's now got 5 goals. Which is behind only McDavid, Draisaitl, Nuge, Hyman, and Nurse for scoring on the team. So those big time players, he's tied with Ryan, Evander Kane, and Tyson Barrie. So he's been coming on. He's scoring goals. He's got a good shot. He's playing well. Like it's just very frustrating I'm sure for him, and it's certainly so for Oiler fans. That was really rough to see. I agree with you, Bruce. It was very sour.
It saddens me. I mean, this was a guy who was finally getting his break, after 5-6 years after his draft, and he couldn't break through in St. Louis. He finally got to a different place, and it was yesterday he got the team award for player of the game in Seattle, and they showed this little clip from the locker room after the game saying how much he liked it here and how he liked his team, and he looked like a guy who was really starting to feel real comfortable. What a shitty break, man.
Totally. Well, fingers crossed. We
saw Ville Heinola go down in the first period, and I thought that he looked really bad, and he walked it off on the aisle and then came back and played. So, but that was getting hit by a puck, which often gets walked off. This was crashing, twisted into the boards with another heavy guy on top of you, kind of thing. It did not look good.
Yeah. What's your number?
Oh, okay. I'm going to give the numbers from this game. This is all situations, including special teams where Winnipeg scored and Edmonton didn't. Shot attempt 66% Edmonton. Shots on net 64%. Scoring chances 73%. This is Natural Stat Tricks version, okay, which they obviously measure different than us. High danger chances 75%. Expected goals 65%, which they had as numbers 3.1 for Edmonton, 1.7 for Winnipeg. So Winnipeg outscored their expected goals. They got so few opportunities. They got 2 goals. And then we get to the all-important goals, Edmonton 33%. So despite basically dominating in all of the measurements, and Calgary fans are making the same complaint after the game the other night, I'll grant you. But this was a game where, as you say, Edmonton deserved better. And it just, they just fell behind again, and Winnipeg checked like crazy. Edmonton saw several of their old nemesis, especially from that series 2 years ago. I thought had great games for them. Connor Hellebuck, Neil Pionk, and of course Kyle Connor with that magical deflection on the game-winning goal, the guy that actually knocked the Oilers right out of the playoffs in triple overtime a couple of years ago. I mean, we know these guys. They've hurt us before. They hurt us tonight. So, I mean, hats off to them. They played well. Frustrating.
Yeah, they played okay. The Oilers.
Pionk he had a fantastic game. Goal,
he did,
and a whole bunch of defensive stops.
He did. He did have a great game, and Morrissey's he's really an impressive hockey player. He'd be on Team Canada if we went to the if we ever actually have a Team Canada again, one of these sometime this century. All right, Bruce. Well, let's leave it there. You got to do the game grades. I'm going to recommend to you, Bruce, that you just write one sentence per player.
Okay.
And you just crank it out. You stick to that discipline. I'm limiting you to one sentence per player. Okay.
Okay.
And
I may have to write that in the introduction. Oh, good luck with
that. You've got 52 minutes, man. All right. One sentence per player. And that's the limit. And Happy New Year, Bruce.
All right. Happy New Year to you, David, and to all the listeners. And thank you for listening, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks to all the listeners, and great to work with you in 2022, and looking forward to 2023, Bruce, and a Stanley Cup for the Edmonton Oilers. In the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.